Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. So today we're looking at cards from episode 37 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens. As a quick reminder, just remember to subscribe if you like my daily Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. So the first card we have is called Taihon 2. This is a level 6 fire attribute dragon type normal monster with 1700 attack and 1900 defense. It's being a normal monster means it has no effect, it just as a flavor text. A crimson dragon that spits fireballs to create a blazing sea of fire. Now, if anyone actually remembers from a very long time ago, this was actually a card that was transferred from the original anime. This came out of Spell Ruler, which was on the 1st of December 2004, so you're looking at, just over 16 years. I don't know why they're putting it in here, but it being a level 6 and for its stat lineup makes it incredibly weak. The next card is Trihad Drago. It's a level 3 Earth Attribute Dragon type effect monster with 300 attack and 1300 defense. The requirement, you can activate if your opponent controls a face-up monster. It must be a level 7 or higher. You control 2 face-up monsters that are non-level 3 dragon types. And the effect is you simply draw 1 card. The Jerky Dragon is a level 7 light attribute dragon type effect monster with 1800 attack and defense. The requirement, you can activate during a turn your opponent activates a trap card. During your turn by sending 1 other face-up monster, must be a dragon type, you control to the graveyard. And the effect, return this card to the hand, then choose 1 monster which is a dragon type in your graveyard, and special summon it to your side of the field. Essentially, you're able to replace this card for perhaps a dragon type monster that's been sent there at an earlier stage of the duel. It could be a lot more powerful than this, but it is situational on the turn that your opponent has activated a trap card, so you are dependent on your opponent. And like I always say, you never want to be dependent on your opponent to do anything. The more dependent you are on them, the more likely you are to struggle within controlling your board, and essentially your opponent will be playing you and you won't be playing them. The next card is Bombird. This is a level 4 fire attribute, winged beast normal monster, 1300 attack, 1200 defense. Not particularly impressive, very similar at the moment with Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush duels. They tend to look at very weak monsters for level 4s and are very steadily getting a form of power creep in the form of, say, maximum summon monsters. But this is just one of those examples that you can expect. The next card is Taihon. It's a level 4 wind attribute winged beast normal monster. Its attack is 1200 and defense is 1400. Capable of firing cannonballs from its mouth for long range attacks, this creature is particularly effective in mounted battles. Now, we've mentioned the whole history around Taihon 2. Very similar with Taihon as well. It came from one of the original packs. It's over 16 years old, and it really doesn't have anything other than a form of nostalgia. But if you were to ask your traditional duelists, even your modern day duelists as well, you're not going to have them remember this card, Maybe some old collectors might have these as, they're commons. So you'll probably have 10 of these cards. They're not useful at all. Bombheart / Explodove is a level 3 light attribute winged beast effect monster with 800 attack and 1000 defense. The requirement, you can activate by revealing 2 spell or trap cards in your hand to your opponent. And the effect is, during this turn, if you tribute summon a monster which is a winged beast type in attack position, you contribute this face-up card as 2 tributes. It's a decent enough effect, getting rid of 1 monster instead of having to get rid of 2 means you're having that additional card advantage. It's nothing different to what the original series did. You had things like Whirlwind Prodigy, you had Unshaven Angler, you had so many iterations of this that were for attribute basis, and then you also had forms which also focused on types. So this is just the Winged Beast equivalent. Phantom Dove is a level 7 Dark Winged Beast type effect monster with 2200 attack and 1500 defense. The requirement, you can activate by sending the top card of the deck to the graveyard if there is a trap card in your graveyard. And the effect, this card gains 200 attack times the number of trap cards in your graveyard until the end of the turn. If there are 5 or more trap cards in your graveyard, you can inflict 1000 points of damage. So this card is okay. For a boss monster, it's fine. I mean, it can become a 3,200 attack monster, or above, depending on how many traps you've got. And if you're playing a trap-heavy deck, then this is definitely an option for you. My concern about this is to have this be anything worthy, it does have to be quite a few traps in your graveyard. You've got power creep from other boss monsters that can zero out this monster's attack points anyway as well. So that's not actually going to make a difference if you can't bump it up to a point where you can OTK your opponent or put them in a difficult position. But it's nice to incentivize you by saying, if you're running a trap deck and you've got 5 or more, you're also doing 1,000 points of burn damage. It's a nice little addition to its effect. Do I think it's going to be power crept very quickly? Yes, I do. Do I think this is going to happen already and has happened already? Absolutely, it has. You look at things such as Seven Roads Magician, just using its effect after it's been summoned will outclass this card anyway. Shot Through the Heart is a normal trap card with the requirement you can activate when your opponent normal summons a monster while you control a face-up normal monster. It must be a winged beast type, and the effect is you draw one card, then reveal it to both players. If that card is a trap card, all face-up monsters level 5 or lower, which are winged beast type, you control gain 800 attack until the end of the turn. So this deck seems to run around a combination of using winged beasts and involving trap cards. Whilst I think this is actually a decent effect, I mean, an 800 point stat boost is quite decent as it affects all of your monsters. It is reliant on you drawing that trap card as part of the effect, and your opponent gets to see the card you draw. If you draw into a trap card and you're in your battle phase, that's fine, and you can force an attack out. If you can't, this does require your opponent to have normal summoned a monster, so it's likely to only be used during your opponent's turn. It does say as a bit of a note, this card is a shortened version of the kanji, which means literally like a pigeon who's been shot by a pea shooter, which is a Japanese idiom to mean wide-eyed in shock. I'm not of a Japanese culture, so I just don't understand that. Clown Clock Heart is a normal trap card with the requirement you can activate if you control a face-up monster. It must be a winged beast type when your opponent normal summons a monster. The effect is to choose one Phantom Dove Night Vision in your graveyard and special summon it face up to your side of the field. Then you gain 1,500 points of life points. I think this is a really good effect. Not only does this let you bring back essentially your boss monster, you're gaining 1,500 life points, which is more than a lot of cards can do at the moment. And all it requires is for your opponent to have normal summoned a monster when you have a winged beast on your field. These conditions aren't difficult to meet, and it's definitely something I would consider running. Not too many of, because I doubt you're going to be running too many of this boss monster as well, and it's very specific to a type of card. It could be the massive downside of it. And the final card is Heartbreak Look. It's a normal trap card with requirement you can activate if you control a face-up monster. It must be a winged beast type. When your opponent normal or special summons a monster, it must be a level 5 or higher. The effect is to choose one face-up attack position monster your opponent controls and change it to face-up defense position. If that monster is changed to defense position, also inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent. Whilst I like the design of this card, I think it's okay, because it requires you to have a winged beast and your opponent to summon a higher level monster. Do I think it's going to be effective? Not really. The 500 points of damage isn't going to do much, and changing a monster from attack to defense just means they're stopped from using that monster to attack for that turn. And it's not a hard restriction. It's not a case of that your opponent cannot just change that monster back to attack position, which I think would have been better. If they have any cards or effects which can allow their monster that's been targeted with this card to go back into attack, then you've essentially just got a 500 point bit of burn damage.